Hello, AJ76 Ian here, and this is round 8 of AOR Tier F8, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix from Baku. We're going for a one-stop strategy, super softs to softs. We've qualified a creditable 7th place, only 12 drivers taking part in this race so far, and we're going to put a little bit more fuel in than the strategy would advise us to for the long straights. And here we are then, starting on 7th. On pole is McQuiz, Washes alongside him in the Toro Rosso in 2nd place. We start in 7th. We've had good starts this season. What's it going to be like this time? The revs rise, 5 lights on, they're off, and I thought it was an okay start, but it was a terrible start. Everyone else got a much better start. Cars coming left and right of us, and we're down to 11th place already. Some bumpy and boring going on in front, and Noodle Dougal gets taken up by Secker there on the right hand side, and we try and keep out of trouble, and we mind our own business. But up behind us, you can just see in our wing mirror, Guy Hoyts gives us a pretty major hit, misses braking point there, and we are down to 9th. So for once we've actually lost positions on the first lap. We've normally kept out of trouble, but that's ended for now. So now it's a question of trying to keep up with these guys in front and hope, not in a bad way, that they have some problems up in front and we can get a couple of places back. A very tough track, this one. As you can see from the coloured lines there, I'm using corner racing line only. I was reluctant to do that because I've never done it before in AOR, but you're allowed to do it, and the braking points are so difficult to pick here, and I had such a terrible time being really slow in practice that I thought for just this race only I would put that on. But you can see we're starting to catch some of the guys in front. Jason in 8th, the American driver in the Red Bull. We come through this very tight castle section, which is problematic for everybody. I think it's just a case of surviving that and going through. And who have we got behind us? Secker's behind us, and not too far behind us indeed. We're planning to do a one-stop strategy, changing on about lap 10 to the soft tyres and then going through to the end of the race. But this is a tricky left-hander, and I made a mistake there. Clout the wall, my wing is yellow, and at this point I was umming and ahhing as to whether to come into the pits. I thought, no, I probably could survive with yellow wing, although I'll make myself slower. So at this point it was a frustrating start, but we're still all to play for in 9th place. And then as we come around the left hand side, there is Danio UK in the middle of the track, and I bounce off left, right, left. How I didn't lose my wheel and retire, I do not know. In hindsight, I think I overreacted to that because his car should have ghosted, so I shouldn't be able to go through, but it didn't look like it was ghosting, so I just reacted a bit too panicky on the steering wheel, and that's a terrible start. We've now definitely got to come into the pits. We're in 10th place. I don't think we're the only one. Looking ahead at the map on the bottom left hand screen, there's 3 cars in the pits with us. As I said, there's only 12 cars have started this race, so we are still probably in a good position to get some points. We're going to change, I think, to the hardest tyre available, the white sidewall hard tyre, which should see us through, probably not to the end of the race, but get us through to the last half a dozen laps or so, and see if we can just power around on our own and mind our own business. So qualifying was pretty good. We qualified 7th on a 1:43.803. It felt really good actually, because I've struggled all week to find a good setup, and I was only 1.6 seconds off pole, which is the closest I've been to pole since China, I believe. So we rejoined on our medium tyres in 10th place. Okay, now we're on to lap 3, and we are chasing down the Red Bull of Jason. Now he's on the softest tyre, the super soft, and he's a guy with a fairly similar pace, perhaps slightly quicker than us overall the season so far, so it was a bit odd that we were catching him, but all became clear as we go through these fast sweeping lefts and rights, and it's pretty obvious that he's got wing damage. He's so slow, lets us through on the outside, so we've gained 1 position and we're back up to 9th. Okay, now lap 12. Not a lot happened between lap 3 and 12. We were minding our own business between 8th and 9th place, but now we've got a bit of a battle on our hands because Zeke, who was extremely quick in testing all week, is catching us on the super soft tyre, so it's going to be a real struggle to keep him behind us. So we're going to try and look forward, not get too distracted in our mirrors, and we're going to come up to a Stricker Williams shortly. Danio UK is parked up. I'm not sure whether he crashed or we just parked there for some other reason. Has retired, and we're about to go up to 7th place. There we are. And Secker is a long way ahead of us though on those super softs, so it'll be very difficult to get higher than this. Lap 14, and we are still in 7th place, but Secker's come out of the pits in front of us on the softer tyres, and we've still got Zeke right in behind us, so it's a 3-way scrap, but we're all on different tyre compounds. The fastest tyre compound is in front, so it might be tricky for us to move forward as we lap Guy Hoyts, who's gone a lap down on us, and Zeke is looking interested in getting past. So this was an interesting phase of the race. Finally got a battle after a very quiet period in the race, and this section in the middle part of the lap is very technical, quite tricky, very easy to make a mistake on. It's the sector in practice all week where I've had the most trouble in putting together a decent sector time. The first and the last sectors are all pretty straightforward in terms of a straight line speed blast, and we're coming up now to this tricky second gear right hander, and then coming up to the castle section, which is ridiculously tight even by street circuit standards. And I hit the wall on the right hand side and on the left hand side. I'm ghosted, so cars can appear to go through me, and I'm breaking all sorts of rules here, probably trying to reverse to find some way to turn around, and I do a really terrible effort of getting going here, looking at the map all the time, making sure I'm not going to freak anybody out behind me, and I end up doing, I think it's a 5-point turn. At the time I'm pretty sure it seemed like an 11-point turn, but a 5-point turn, very, very disappointing. We're going to have to come in and change our wing. And here we are later around the lap. We've scrambled round very slowly. We don't want to get a penalty to compound our situation, and it's the start of lap 15, and we're going to go on to the soft tyres. Or are we going to go on to super soft? No, we're going to go on to the soft tyres here to hopefully see ourselves through to the end of the race. So a second unexpected pit stop, this time completely our fault, and we're going to rejoin, I think, in 8th place. End of lap 21, and Zeke and Noodle Dooga have retired. We're up in 7th now and feeling fairly comfortable on these soft tyres. We've got Secker a long way ahead of us, and we're trying to manage the gap to Jason, who's in 8th, who's around about 10 seconds or so behind us, but he's on the slower tyres, so I think we're confident that we can keep a reasonable gap to him. And I'm showing you this lap 22 because this is my fastest lap. Again, it's not going to set the world alight at all, but it was a decent lap for me. It's the only time I thought I'm going to push a little bit and see what pace I got in the car. After I'd set this fastest lap, I decided to back off. There's nothing to fight in front, and there's a gap to manage behind. But it gives you an idea of what this circuit's like when you're pushing a little bit. And you'll notice probably that I've got another new helmet. I was reluctant to keep changing helmets as I've done most races, because I hated that when Sebastian Vettel did that in particularly 2013, where he had a completely different colour helmet every race. We've got black and orange, and I'm going to stick with this one for the rest of the season. That was much better take through the castle section there, and I will just shut up now and let you watch the end of my fastest lap of the race. So coming through the blast down, our previous best was a very poor 148.141. We're going to smash that and do a 146.8, which is not too bad for us on these soft tyres. So this is lap 25, but this is the last lap because we have been lapped by the leaders, and we're going to come home reasonably satisfied actually in 7th place, because two major errors. Very, very lucky not to have lost a wheel in both of those crashes I had, self-inflicted, helped by the fact that others had problems, and also the fact that only 12 started. But this was a race that was going to be one of my weakest, so 7th place I'll take any day of the week. So the podium there, another fine win, a second win of the season for McQuiz and the Mercedes. Denzamo was in 2nd place in the Toro Rosso, and a brilliant drive for David Ben, who came from the back of the grid to finish 3rd in the Ferrari. So there we are. Washi finished 4th, has had his lead cut somewhat by McQuiz, who's now a little bit closer in 2nd place. Denzamo's in 3rd. We are still some way behind David Ben. The Boniface is very close to us. Here are our results for the season, and next up, next Sunday, is the Austrian Grand Prix.